associations are unique in the sense that the members of associations are the people with everything to say. So if you're the association of, surgeons, your members are surgeons. So if you want to create content around surgery, where's the best place to get that? It's from your members. And so in a world where video content rules and we need authenticity and real stories from real people, it makes a lot of sense that associations are seeking ways to lift up the voices of their members. And that also corresponds to thinking about the next generation of members and where they come from and how they affiliate and how they connect. We've set it up so we can run it for any organization for free, called the 7-day video challenge. And one of the things we've learned, this is actually interesting learning that I didn't know the last time I was here on your pod, was that the discomfort of the people in the organization is an indicator of whether they will perceive that their members are also lack comfort. Meaning,
Mm.
if you're uncomfortable being on video, the way you ask people to make a video, it oozes your discomfort and it pushes your discomfort on to them.
Right.
And even if you don't think that that's what you're doing,
It
and
happens.
I don't mean you specifically, but
No,
we see that where, and it has to do a little bit with the idea of assumptive language versus language where you're like, yeah, it's the difference between saying, "Hey, I have this thing. I know it's an imposition. I know you probably don't want to do it, but would you please make this video for us?" And as opposed to, "Hey, step 3 of this process is to make your intro video." And
right.
step 1
Now
is
do it.
whatever, and it's just an assumptive thing like, "Hey,
Yeah.
you got to send it in your bio, and you got to make your video." We just had somebody, doctors don't want to make videos. I'm like, here's 25 doctor organizations where they're making
Mhm.
hundreds of videos, right?
Right.
And what's the difference? The difference is you saying doctors don't want to make videos, and the way you're asking is going to have this incredible impact on how people respond. I found this woman named Lakita Clear, she was in Hollywood and did a lot of speaker training and communications training, and she's partnered with us to offer this 7-day video challenge. And so you can sign up for the 7-day video challenge, and you get one request from Lakita every day to make a video, and she gives you a little training about comfort level on camera, body language, how to do an effective introduction to yourself, all these things. And after 7 days, it's incredible. If you make a video once a day for 7 days, it just the reps have a
Yeah.
really big
Love
impact
that.
on your
I
comfort
think
level.
framing it as a challenge too
Yeah, I
is
like that too.
something that people can
Yes.
get behind.
The part of what an association's goal is, what their job is to help the careers of their members, right? That's why you're in a association that's built around a particular profession or a particular
Mhm.
trade. And we believe being comfortable on camera is just one of those skills that has a lot to do for many professions with growing in that profession, with getting more peer, influence, with moving up in different ways. And so, we want organizations to feel like part of their job is their to help their members get comfortable,
Right.
introducing themselves, sharing their knowledge, that because it's going to help those people in their own lives and their own careers. When I just said change management, I was thinking about something that I had a conversation about events. And if you recall, when COVID hit and all the associations had to go to virtual events, there was a lot of people had to really stretch and do things differently. But there was a lot of leadership that said, "Hey, there's some advantages to this. There's people who can't attend because of physical limitations. We can have a lot more people. It's better for the environment, all these things of what the positives were." And then, for many organizations, it feels like the minute that everything opened back up, it was like, did we ever say any of those
Yeah,
things?
the
You know, we're
backslide.
we're we're back, to the thing that's most comfortable for us. And so I think that's just a part of it's just a human nature challenge. Part of it, I think, is being understaffed, having a lot of turnover in an organization. It's really hard to like do the things that you're supposed to do, but then also figure out how do I take this to the next level. So I definitely have a lot of sympathy and empathy for the people in those seats. But I also get frustrated as somebody who's trying to move the industry forward when people feel like they're just stuck in something that is, a decade or decades old in terms of their approach or their habits or even just their willingness to look at their approach.
Yeah,
Right, but
and
Michael, to what you were saying before, though, we just did it. Like 3.5 years ago,
Yeah.
the same staff with constrained resources did do that focus thing of let's be creative, let's be innovative, let's get out of our comfort zone. And people jumped out of the box. And I think what you were talking about earlier is what's frustrating is why did you go back in?
right. And
Because you did it. It's not like this is a new thing you're asking people to do. It's like, no, 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 just don't regress so much.
but don't you think that's because there was like the a comfortability and everybody felt okay with trying something and failing?
Hmm.
Like
Hmm.
whatever, we have no
And
choice
now the
but
world
to
is
try.
somehow less forgiving around
Exactly.
that thing because everything's back to normal, whatever we want to call normal.
I think
Right.
that's a really good point. I do think that there was a sense of like, hey, we're all just trying to figure this out right now. And that did create a kind of permission scaffolding, to let people do stuff without the fear. And the fear is back, you know.
Well, that's a fundamental principle of change management, though, um, which is if you don't follow all the way through to adoption, if you if you take the backstop off too soon, people will snap back to the original behavior. And I think what a lot of people just because we were in a crisis mode, a lot of leaders and individuals, me too, didn't say, well, how do I continue the discipline to turn this into a permanent habit? It was more of a temporary state, and people were waiting for an end. And so as soon as it was over, they let go instead of like the principle of change management is getting the change all the way through so it's normal. So I
Right.
wonder if that
Yeah,
happened.
that's right.
No one normalized it, right? It was okay when it was normal when we were all here, and then maybe it's a leadership problem, right? Where leaders needed to maybe recognize what a great opportunity it created and then perpetuate the let's not lose our edge, let's not lose our permission, let's not lose our space to innovate, to try something different.
The leadership, it all kind of trickles down a bit from the attitude around the leadership, that it's very hard for somebody in a kind of middle management role, in a manager role, for example, or in a senior manager role to be that force for change without having the top down uh, sense that, this is how we work here.
I don't, it's interesting because Delcor has a client advisory board where we meet twice a year and just talk about things. And Pat Blake was saying that change management is an organizational cultural task, but Delcor is trying to put change management into our technology projects to try to improve the adoption so that when they buy, really great services from everybody that they follow all the way through. And so she was talking about if you use change management as a tool inside the project, somebody inside the organization can make a good example and the leader can gain the excitement because just like you were saying a minute ago, if the leader isn't really bought into change management, understands that tentativeness flows down. But she said if you use it as a tool, not a program, that nuance sometimes gives people freedom to work from the inside out.
And if I were, an association event person, I would make it a point to attend something like a Money 2020 or a SASTR or these events that are not run by associations that are doing really innovative things and start thinking about, hey, what can we do a little bit differently? And I'll just talk about a couple of things that I think are interesting. One is the idea of mixing your industry partners and your education much more. So, at most events, you'll have the trade show floor over here, and you'll have like education sessions over there. And I think that the more modern events are saying, how do those things actually live together and become one and the same thing? How do all the education sessions happen in the same place that you have the industry partners? How do we include the industry partners more in the learning, and not being in a zoo that people are walking around and, looking at their little 10 by 10 cages or whatever. And maybe that's where it is you can't
Mhm.
please everyone. Do the right thing, feel comfortable with the right thing, and move on, and and keep moving forward, and don't start to spiral, because you'll just suck up a lot of time and effort and energy that's better used moving things forward.
I'm ready.